welcome back to Innovate Africa. As you know, we talk about innovative businesses that impact lives not only on the African continent, although that is our major focus, but they've got the potential to impact lives globally. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a man who's been innovating for over 2 decades. We'll talk about his latest baby, which has got to do with the thing you see behind me, drones doing amazing stuff. But I also want to talk about the history of Amit Ramdath, who joins us today. Amit, what a pleasure having you here. You wear a couple of hats. I mean, I know you as the founder of Byte Orbit. We're also going to be talking about Autono Sky, but once again, good having you on Innovate Africa.
Kieno, thank you so much for the opportunity, firstly, and then also for making the time to visit us. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. We've followed your passion for technology, so it's a big privilege from our side. Thank you.
I must say, walking around this place is a bit like being in a candy store if you're a kid that loves candy. So some really amazing stuff happening. But where did this all start? Let's maybe talk about what Byte Orbit actually is,
Okay.
what it started out doing, and what it evolved into.
Awesome. So Byte Orbit is a software engineering company which I started 22 years ago. The funny thing is, it was after getting fired for the second time, and I realized I'm not employable, so I needed to take my skill and do something. And that's where Byte Orbit started. We were a software development house, and over time we tried a few products. Also started a few other businesses. And in the journey, one of the businesses I had started was called Frontier Lab. And Frontier Lab was a design thinking organization. And we later merged that back into Byte Orbit to create a full stack innovation house that could take you from ideation to build and deployment. We've always loved innovation. It's always been a part of our DNA. And Byte Orbit is still going strong today. We've got some great partners in that ecosystem.
Great. And I mean, you're going to be moving to that chairman role at some stage as well. And I mean, the latest news around Byte Orbit, and I saw that because at Innovation City, we obviously have Next 176, and I saw this partnership between Old Mutual's Next 176 and Byte Orbit. And I mean, essentially, you guys are, what, a venture studio?
Yeah, exactly. We're the venture studio for Next 176. That's been an amazing journey. Next 176, they are looking after the vision of Old Mutual for the next 176 years, so very innovation focused. And I think what Byte Orbit brings is the design thinking, the ideation, and very importantly, we're the build partner. I think a lot of this, the corporate innovation needs a solid build partner that can go beyond the legacy kind of thing.
Are we doing enough for deep tech in South Africa? Because you get the ones and the zeros and the apps and the replets and the let's all build something, and anybody can build an app these days, which is a great thing, gives people access to be able to build. But then there's the actual physical builds, the engineering. I've been fascinated, for example, by what's happening with the space economy and the potential that that represents. And you, if I'm get it right, I mean, you are playing in the deep tech space, right?
100%. You speaking of something that I'm very passionate about. Having spent most of my life in software, I do feel the tides of change at the moment. And deep tech, when you look at it, really gives birth to a lot of industry development. In deep tech, it's not just about the ones and zeros. There's sensors, there's components, there's materials. There's so many different forms of engineering that come together to support deep tech. I don't think we are doing enough in the country for it. I think we are heading in the direction, but it's going to unlock so much of value in terms of job creation, deploying our engineering capabilities, and just coming up with new things that the world will look at and rely on going forward.
You mentioned something that I love, design thinking, something that I employ. And I look at our schooling system. I have to have the schooling system discussion. I've mentioned this before, taking my kid out of a private school, putting him into a good former Model C school, whatever you want to call them these days. And I'm going to take the balance of the capital that I save, and I'm buying 3D printers because he likes taking things apart. He's 8 years old. He likes building. He likes learning. And I don't see space for young people in our education system at the moment. It's still very much academically driven. Now, don't get me wrong, academics has got its place. I want a doctor who graduated from a university, not one who studied on Udemy, right? Because I love my life. But you do find young people, even, and this is a contentious statement, even though they didn't matriculate, they might have taught themselves certain skills and they're busy building stuff and they've got proof of work. And quite frankly, I'd rather employ those type of people. Now, what's your take on the education system and what we should do to make our young people more future proof, as it were?
Yeah, I think you touched on something that is spot on. When you look at where we're going with making things and using your hands and applying the principles that you would normally hear, study in the academic side, it really comes down to, what are you going to do? How are you going to apply yourself and your mind to go beyond the traditional or the more orthodox education system? And the world is moving very fast. I think we've seen the initiatives around the fourth industrial revolution, where a lot of these STEM kind of programs have crept into the school system. I think it's a stepping stone. I think it's not where it needs to be. And I think it maybe got a little bit dumbed down a little bit too much. Because when you look at 3D printing, for example, if you look at the printers that we've had even 3 years ago to today, there's rapid advancement. And because it's become, if those advancements make it easier to utilize, you can actually do more with them. So the curriculums have to track the progress of the technology.
Correct. But university sits with the same problem. You have NQF qualifications that they have to be registered. It takes a long time to do that. By the time you do it, the tech's moved on. But I mean, okay, so we can go on about education, but I think the bottom line is we need people such as ourselves who end up working with young people, teaching them those skills, because we can't just rely on an education system.
Exactly. I 100% agree. And I think to support it as well, companies like us, it is our responsibility to provide internships, learnerships, vacation work for the guys who are actually trying to get into the industry. Ultimately, you have to start somewhere. And training these guys, they become the trainers that will train the new group. So that's something we've always been passionate about. We try our best to accommodate as many internships as we can in a year.
So I'm going to do my last bit on Byte Orbit now, because that was, that's the platform that's given risen even to Autono Sky. We'll get to that. If we talk about Africa and impact, so you look back at your 20 odd years, 22 years around about now, and you put your head down on the pillow. What are you most proud of if you look at impact?
In context of Byte Orbit?
Oh, Byte Orbit.
Yes.
So we'll start with Byte Orbit. We'll get to Autono Sky.
That's a fantastic question, Kieno. I think for me, the biggest impact for us has been our people. We are a very unique company in terms of people. We are about 100 people, or close to 100 people, who have this deep passion for innovation and solving problems. And we share that with every company that we interact with. We try to make it infectious. We try to make innovation infectious. And I think that's been our impact. And our track record kind of speaks towards that narrative, because a lot of our engagements with our clients are long-term. It's very seldom we do one project and we walk away. It's usually, well, what's the next? What's the next? And I think that's kind of evidence of that infectious innovation ethos that we try to bring into the space.
So let's move on to the 20s.
Yes.
Right? We had this thing called COVID knocking on doors and all the rest of it. But it was also the time where Autono Sky was given birth to, as it were. So maybe first things first, people going, what's this going on about Autono Sky? What is that? Is that a band? No, it's not. It is, like I alluded to earlier, it's got to do with drones, using drones as a platform to provide services. So just give us a bit of an insight into what the business does, but then also how it got started, that process, that tipping point that led you to going, hold on, this is a great idea. I think we should do it.
100%. I think, firstly, yeah, Autono Sky, we exist as, or the main reason we exist is to be a drone manufacturing organization. That's a dream. That's our DNA. But we are also a drone training organization approved by the Civil Aviation Authority. So we get to train drone pilots, the future drone pilots, and which is fantastic. The people who need to use drones get to walk into our facility for training, at the same time get to see what we're building and what we're up to. Um, and we'll get into what we're actually doing on the build side, but to get back to the point and how it all started, you're very right. It was kind of a COVID baby. Um, and I had reached a point in the software space where I just felt the tides are turning, deep tech is there. I've always had a love for aviation and electronics, robotics. And, on the software side, artificial intelligence back then was starting to make a bit of a wave or ripple. And I felt this was the melting pot drones. It's bringing so many things together. You got your AI and software, you got your electronics, the robotics. It's all coming together in this one place, and the excitement of that was, undeniable. And I had to do something about it. But coming from software, I just needed to skill up a bit. So I climbed onto Udacity during COVID. It was actually one of the best things I could have done. Right. It was uninterrupted. You had time to study. So I studied autonomous flight systems and robotics. I had to do maths. I went on to the Khan Academy to brush up on maths after 20 years. And and it was kind of validating, like, okay, this is something that we need to try. We had some space at the Wide Orbit offices when people were working from home. And I started up Autono Sky in that space. And we've just moved forward from there. I'm very happy to say, growing from strength to strength. Yeah.
I'm going to push you a little bit.
Yes.
I ask this of many founders. You told me that you're in the business of building drones, but my question is, are you? Or are you in the business of creating systems that can impact people's lives?
That is a great way to position it. Definitely the latter, building systems to impact people's lives. Um, and I think, with Autono Sky, our goal has always been to develop drone technology to positively impact human lives.
Yeah.
I think, when you look at the wars around the world, when you look at drones, the first thing that people think about, will it kill people? And like, for us, the answer is no. That's not the reason that we get up in the morning. We look at the opportunities to deliver medicine, to cut down emissions, to make things more efficient, help with search and rescue, shark spotting, helping in drownings, uh, help to prevent crime. There's so many, and it goes on and on and on. And the technology that's being developed in all of these use cases is absolutely mind-blowing, and it's happening in South Africa.
But what I'm loving is it's not as if you're taking someone else's system and then just plugging stuff into it. You're building this from scratch and looking at the young people working in your office and what they're learning and how they're growing with the business is just, that in and of itself to me is really impactful, right? But let's talk about some of the use cases. If you can just maybe expand on that for me slightly. So you were talking about saving lives and all sorts of other things. What do you currently do in terms of deploying Autono Sky commercially?
Awesome. That's a fantastic one. So currently we're busy with a delivery payload for our Autono One system. So I think maybe just let me back up a little bit. We've got two systems that we're busy with. One is called Autono One. It's a heavy lift UAV. It can lift up to 30 kgs, flight time of about 1 hour. Globally, it's one of the best in its class. And as you said, it's designed from the ground up right here at Autono Sky. Started up as a CAD drawing. We did the computer simulations, prototyping, crashing, building, refining. And at the moment, it's a CAA approved aircraft. And we've got customers in logistics and in the research space utilizing the drone at the moment. It's multi-payload, so you can put different payloads on it. And one of the payloads we're busy with at the moment is for delivery. But unlike Google Wing and Amazon and these guys, we can lift about 25 kgs of payload, which is a lot more substantial. And we're looking to disrupt sectors like the shorter ship deliveries, the medical supplies, and uh, uh, taking during disaster management, taking supplies over roads that have been washed away, or if people are stranded on the mountain,
Yeah.
yeah, take some supplies to them as well, or medical equipment.
Right.
Yeah, so there's some good use cases that we're working on that side. In addition, we've got a payload to drop fire retardant balls on fires starting in hard to reach places.
Right.
Because as you know, in Cape Town, we get a lot of fires.
Yes.
And if you can address the fire in its early stages, you save a lot of money, you save a lot of energy, a lot of effort, lives. Um, and that's the idea. Drones can get to hard to reach places very quickly. And so when we can enable it with these kind of payloads, it becomes very exciting. We're also working with CSIR on a sensor that is called a K-line sensor. It does early wildfire detection. And that's a fantastic piece of tech patented by the CSIR, which we've licensed to bring into the UAV space. They have a version sitting on a satellite at the moment, which is very awesome. And it goes on, yes.
Oh, that's exciting. So what I'm getting, Amit, is that you're not just building the drones, you're also looking at building your own components that could be attached to these drones so that you're not as reliant on suppliers to bring things through. So it sounds like a out of drone experience, so to speak, as well.
Yeah. I think you've touched on something that I should have mentioned earlier. It is, as an entrepreneur, when you build these businesses, you also want to differentiate yourself. And
Yeah.
entrepreneurs are very competitive creatures. And when we built Autono Sky, one of the things I really wanted for us was to be a full stack organization. And what that means, in my opinion, from what I've studied in the industry, you need three things to be a solid player in the industry. You need to do your own airframes, and there's a whole skill set around that, which we love. And that's kind of the skill set we started out with.
Right.
Then you need your own electronics. If you're going to rely on off the shelf, and we've experienced it with the war in Ukraine, China has throttled a lot of the infrared and radio exports from the country. So it really can slow you down quite a bit. So designing our own circuit boards right up to flight controller level has been quite a
Wow.
kind of an apex strategy on our side. And the third thing, my background, software. Bring the software. That's where the value is. I'm so lucky to have, when I look back at my history in software, to bring that into this
Yeah.
industry and, bring it all together. And when you put it all together, that's where we get to look at our drones as platforms and do exactly what you said. Put the gadgets on the payloads on them. That's going to actually bring a lot of value and bring evolution and change. So yeah, that's been the strategy. Yes.
Now, I could have this conversation with you for another half an hour, and I don't want to do that. I think we leave people hanging and wanting to know more, and we'll do a follow-up on more of the work
Yeah.
that you do as you actually progress. Is there anything else, something groundbreaking you might want to share with us?
Yeah, look, I think we've behind you have one of our latest platforms. It's called the A22 Monkoba. Monkoba is Conqueror. This drone is an amazing feat from our side. It's our best build so far. It folds up into a little backpack. And one of the things that we've been aiming to do and finally got around to doing is to put some of the NVIDIA hardware on there so we could bring in some of the artificial intelligence development. We've built it as a platform so the customer can put their own AI on there and built a SDK that will allow you to interact with the flight control. And that's something that we're proud of. It's multi-payload, can still lift another 8 kgs. That's groundbreaking. And yeah, we're very proud of it. We're looking forward to taking it into the market next year.
And we'll do a follow-up once you do that.
Yes.
I mean, we've run out of time. Time for me to wrap this conversation, but just very briefly, you've done this for over 20 years. One or two of the biggest lessons you've learned when it comes to building a business?
I'll tell you, the first one is definitely a cliche, but It is 100% true. Tenacity. I think when it's never going to be a smooth road, and what that means is you're going to have things thrown at you, and things won't happen on your calendar, on your time frame.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the world doesn't care about your budget or your sleep or anything like that. The tenacity becomes the biggest thing for me. Um, and I can tell you one quick story.
Yeah.
We've just secured some intellectual property from Nelson Mandela University.
Yeah.
It's taken us 2.5 years.
Yeah.
To get that right. But this technology is groundbreaking.
Right.
We'll give you all of the bits and pieces in the coming months on that
Yeah.
one. But that will see a UAV that will developed by Autono Sky that the world has not seen. And we're very excited. But without the tenacity, we could have given up in any part of the 2.5 year journey. It wouldn't have happened. So it's been like my number one.
And you recently signed that. That is phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to this. We want to break this type of news as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. And I think tenacity is my take home. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, man, you're right about them not caring about your sleep or your budget, right? Or your home or anything for that matter. So, Amit Ramdath, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute privilege. Thank you for hosting us here. And that is Innovate Africa. We must not sell ourselves short. We've got the skills, we've got the know-how. Some of that skills and know-how is currently sitting in other countries, and they're taking over the world, and there's more to come. I'm at one of them, the team that he's working with. So you stay tuned to Innovate Africa, and if you want to get hold of Amit, just stay tuned. After all of this, my email address will be there. Just reach out. I'll see you next week.